Good day. I am Sabun John Berry, and this is Sabunim Peter Moet. We are the senior instructors in the Inwan Kim Martial Arts Academy in Valrico, Florida. The purpose of this video is to honor the legacy of Grandmaster Inwan Kim with a presentation of his biography, his martial arts philosophies, and an introduction to the videos that record the curriculum, drills, and special techniques that he taught over the years. Grandmaster Inwan Kim was born in 1962 in Boyo, Cheongnam Province, Republic of Korea. In 1974, his father placed him in a tough and traditional Taekwondo program in his hometown. He earned his first black belt just before the age of 14 from Taekwondo master Kim Jae-man. At 18, he decided to start Hapkido training under Master Ryong. From 1983 to 1985, he served as a martial arts instructor for the Republic of Korea Army Rangers. After serving in the Army, he continued his studies in college to graduate with a Bachelor of Arts in Business Administration. And then he worked as a manager at a bank. At the same time, he continually studied martial arts in Seoul. He practiced Taekwondo with Grandmaster Shim Jae-ik and Master Kim Boo-suk. He also resumed his Hapkido training with Master Lee Young-ho. In 1987, he earned his 5th Dan in Taekwondo and 3rd Dan in Hapkido. In 1989, he came to the United States to work for a better future for his life. He had no money and knew no English. He worked in Philadelphia in his uncle's convenience store and his brother's dojo. He worked many long hours and slowly made his life better. In the early 1990s, he met Dojonim Jihan Jae. Dojonim became his mentor for his martial arts journey. After many days of classes, training, and lectures, he was able to understand a much deeper part of Hapkido and Korean martial arts. In 1995, he decided to focus on Shinmu Hapkido as his main martial art. When asked about this, Grandmaster Kim said, "For this I am forever grateful for Dojonim Jihan Jae's teaching and guidance to my life." In the early 2000s, Grandmaster Kim taught Taekwondo and Hapkido in his brother's dojo in Philadelphia. In 2005, he moved to Florida and opened a dojo in Valrico near Tampa. He gave credit for his dojo in Florida and promotion in Taekwondo to Grandmaster Lee Jae-hak in nearby Brandon, Florida. Between 2005 and 2022, he trained hundreds of students in Taekwondo and Hapkido. He followed Kwan guidelines for belt promotions for Taekwondo and graduated many black belts from his academy. However, for his love of Hapkido, he was very discerning and promoted only 5 students to black belt over his career. In 2019, he created a revised curriculum to advance students at a faster pace, from which we have graduated 6 black belts. He had a strong interest in other martial arts and often invited their practitioners to seminars, personal training, and sessions with his students. He hosted many Hapkido seminars, which drew practitioners from around the country, and he often traveled to distant Hapkido seminars. Prior to his illness, he was actively training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and earned his blue belt under Robson Mora. Grandmaster Kim achieved a 7th Dan Taekwondo ranking in 2001. He was granted the Ryong Kwan by Dojonim about 2005. He achieved the 10th Dan Shinmu Hapkido rank in 2013. A year later, he was designated as the Shinmu Association's Central United States representative. Grandmaster Kim was very adamant that he accepted the high rank with humility, and yet with honor and pride. Because of that recognition from Doja Nim, he wanted to carry Doja Nim's true mission to the world to honor his legacy. Although he achieved high positions and honors, he always wanted to be called and known as Sabum Nim. In 2019, Grandmaster Kim became ill with cancer. For over 3 years, he fought the cancer with some victories and defeats. He suffered much physical pain and mental anguish. He always maintained a positive attitude and never gave up the fight. Unfortunately, he passed away in April of 2022. Since 2022, Grandmaster Kim's spouse and senior students continue to operate the Inwon Kim Martial Arts Academy in Valrico to continue his legacy of Taekwondo and Hapkido martial arts. This is his portrait that was painted by one of his black belt students. This is the favorite blue dobok that he often wore in the dojang and at seminars. This is the white belt that he often wore in the dojang as a sign of humility and a reminder that there is always more to learn and perfect. The belt reads, Scholar of the Way of Higher Thought, Kim In-Won. And then the principles that he admired and wished to impart to his students: loyalty, honor to parents, etiquette, righteousness, and love. These first 4 principles are taught to our Taekwondo deputy black belts. The principles he imparted to his lower belts were respect, discipline, patience, honesty, self-control, perseverance, and humility. The Hapkido videos found here are our tributes to honor his legacy by documenting his entire Ryong Kwan curriculum, drills, and special techniques trained over the years, along with those inspired by his philosophies. I would now like to introduce Sabum Nim Peter Mowat to discuss some of Grandmaster Inwon Kim's Hapkido philosophy.
Thank you, John. Ryong Kwan's foundation is based on the principles of Wan, Ban, Gak, or circle, square, and triangle. Meaning we should move like a circle, smooth and rhythmic, like a ball rolling across the floor. No stomping your feet like an elephant, like Sabum Nim used to say. Your feet should glide across the ground as you move. And you should keep like a triangle, steady and always balanced, with your weight close to the ground. Then engage like a square, solid and from a position of strength. This position of strength is one of the things that's most difficult to teach to some of our newer students. Even for a basic armbar, they want to get in close to it so that they think they're supposed to be close to you, and I'm not from a position of strength, which is from here. And so that's the important quality of making sure that you're always ending up in a position of strength. All 3 elements must always exist. The square travels inside the circle, the triangle travels inside the square, and vice versa, depending on whether you're moving, stopped, or engaging. All this is depicted by this trophy that Inwon Kim kept in his office. Sabum Nim believed that over 50% of Ryong Kwan Hapkido is proper footwork. This all includes the concept of Wan, Hua, Yu, or circular in harmony like flowing water, which in Sabum Nim's interpretation means for every action, don't fight resistance head on. Move with it circularly and rhythmically. Proper bobop and basic steps enables this. If a technique does not work or is fought against, just flow to another technique or joint lock. This is not just physically, but mentally as well. Your mind cannot be rigid. Sabum Nim referred to this as the ocean. The belt curriculum sequence and numbers are solely for the purpose of logically training others. Application of what technique becomes solely determined by the opponent, the circumstance, and your desired outcome. Your mind should flow like waves to the appropriate techniques without any hesitation. All techniques are taught and learned moving slow and steady to build proper muscle memory, and typically without allowing any striking to soften up the opponent. However, once they can be done without striking, you would never try to lock or throw without striking or kicking again. Wrist grab techniques once learned statically from the wrist should thereafter only be practiced from a punch, push, or offensively. The techniques in Kwan themselves are guided by the acronym SEPQA, or S-E-P-Q-A. Simple, effective, precise, quick, and adaptable. Kwan techniques are not complicated and generally do not have many transitions and movements with limited handoffs. It's typically one and done, or as we like to say, block, lock, and drop. Never take a second or third step when one is sufficient. All techniques employ precise circular movements in more than one direction. Effective boba to keep low and close, and in balance to utilize your strength against opponents' weaker joints. They should avoid putting you in a position to be struck or have preparation for a potential strike as an element of the technique. It's understood and expected that the technique should be adapted based on the size and strength of your opponent and the style of fighting they employ, which is learned as you progress through the curriculum. All techniques can be improved, and all techniques do not work on everybody. We realize other Kwans and organizations utilize different colors and numbers and length of time between belts. For this reason, the videos included in this group are structured as basic, intermediate, higher level, and advanced. Though there is instruction provided, it is intended to familiarize the more experienced Hapkido practitioner with the Kwan curriculum and techniques, not to teach beginners how to learn them. We hope you enjoy these videos. Thank you.